Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. Today I'm gonna be giving you part 25 of What If Naruto was put through hell and adopted by the Raikage. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this with your friends and social media platform, and also guys, stay tuned for the brand new episodes coming over Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all for your help and support, and yeah, without further ado, we need to begin this new episode. Start the intro. So, the last part we left off. Danzo wanted to speed up the aging process of the young girl that he currently had a Jinjulki inside of. So he sent his man to find the remains of the hero water. Her mind might be inexperienced, but he could use that to his advantage. Meanwhile, that was going on at Kumo, as the village was being attacked by the Sky Nation. Ninjas were flocking all around, as Yujito was able to land right on the giant city. She made her way as she found a little boy in one of the rooms, which she later found out that was a girl. As she apologized, saying that they were here to help, she and Shino-san. As Yujito had no idea who she was talking about, when Yujito arrived at the room, she saw Naruto fighting a man in there. As Shino, a man that had powers of something that he called the Ruby Desert Tail, was creating havoc. But he stood no chance against Naruto after Naruto made Yujito leave. He put the man in his place, until the man released that strange monster. As Naruto was grabbed roughly, he was broken through the entire tower. Yujito and the others, as C and the others arrived, saw Naruto taking on the beast. As he started to rip it apart with his chains, Yujito's eyes went wide as she jumped down running after him, as he literally pulled the thing out of the sky by ripping it to pieces. Yujito rushed over to him as she believed that he was Naruto, but yet he wouldn't talk to her as he simply walked away. But he was stopped by C, as C knew that it was him as he tested theory. As Naruto dropped the Sage Jutsu, as he could see the 3 whisker marks on his cheek, as C told him to come back to Kumo, whatever it is they can sort things out. As Naruto went back to Kumo with him. The next morning Naruto woke up, he was in a lot of pain, as everyone was royally pissed off, as they hurt him. Yes, they vented out their anger. Well, he deserved it after just abandoning him like that, and it was nothing but chaos. But at least, they were happy to have him home now. As Shoko came, Shoko wanted to murder him for doing that. But Naruto was called by the Raikage, who told him that Shoko would be on his team, as he was still going under the fake name of Torun, the Land of Iron expert. He thought that his father was still going to be angry at him, but the man shrugged it off as he told him that Kumo would be helping him, and he would be there as well. After all, it would be rather proud to know that the next Raikage was able to defeat the 9th Jinchuriki. As Naruto smiled that happy to hear that his father was on his side. Meanwhile, the Akatsuki hideout as another tail beast was sealed away. Minato was told by one of the paths that Katsume was found. She was going to intercept a tracker from Land of Iron. As Minato was happy to hear that finally he can have his daughter back, and there would be no other monster to ruin his family. Meanwhile, that was going on, a girl with purple hair made her way, as she saw someone that she was supposed to kill. The person looked exactly like her mother, but it wasn't her mother. She did not hesitate to slit her sword right through the person's head. She was the perfect weapon after all, the perfect tool for Konoha, and she must do as she was told. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place, check out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? We begin this episode at the Waterfall of Truth. Both Yujito and B stood silent as they watched. As Naruto was sitting there, his legs were crossed, as he was once again embarking on the Waterfall of Truth. The first time he did, he was barely 7 years old. And when he had come out, he hadn't spoken for 3 days, until he finally gathered enough courage to tell them what his true self had told him. He was a monster, a heartless, cruel monster, whose purpose was to bring death and destruction to all those around him. Now once more he was taking on that challenge once again, but this time the waterfall was bubbling. It never bubbled when B came there or Yujito, but this time it was trembling, bubbling, steaming. Chobi told Naruto wasn't having a good time because inside, his true self stood there. His other half. His eyes were pitch black, an Anfu mask inside his head. He was wearing an Anfu cloak. But he was not the only one. There was another one of him there, that had the symbol for Omega on him. He had on a lab coat, with black snake slayer out of his sleeves. Another one stood tall, cracking his knuckles, as the symbol of Alpha was on him. There was also Beta, Omega, and Delta. Epsilon stood there as well, as he had all of his torturing tools. There was a smaller clone on his shoulder that was devoid of all emotions. He just looked towards Naruto with a blank stare, as Naruto stood there alone against all of his true selves. Well then guys, who wants to first bite against a wimp? His dark half said. I'm the last, so I should go first, Omega said. As he moved forward, snakes coming from his sleeve, as Naruto dodged aside, skipping back on the water surface, but then something slammed into him from behind. It was Alpha. Remember Lee's move? Yosh, he shouted, as he sent Naruto sailing against the water surface, as Beta finished his hand signs, lightning release, electric, magnetic murder, as it electrocuted both him and Alpha, as Naruto grit his teeth so he would not cry, as Epsilon pierced right through Naruto's shoulder as Naruto cried out. Aren't you forgetting someone, said the voice as Naruto looked up to see Tarna, a samurai version of himself standing there, who delivered several slashes to his chest before slamming his heel right into his face, cracking his nose. As Naruto was thrown back, he was also thrown out of the waterfall of truth as he slammed right into the wall, surprising both B and Yujito. Naruto yelled as she rushed over to his side. Bro, said B as he went over to the other side. They got him back to his feet as he breathed heavily. Just what happened, she asked. I just have more than one true self, said Naruto, as his legs gave away as B had to hold him up. B has never seen the waterfall of truth do that to someone else before. Bro has been hitting a bunch. Let's go back for lunch. Maybe, with a bit of a hunch, said B, as Naruto slowly nodded. It was a nice idea to spend some time while the Konoha ninjas arrived. They had made their way towards a moving island, but now Naruto was in a bad state and he had to get some rest. But she has never seen the waterfall of truth did that to someone else before. What happened in there, she said, as they made their way on the turtle back. I fought myself in there, said Naruto. A lot of myself actually. But I didn't try to fight back, not at all, because I felt like you were right. I need to learn my place, wherever that is. Yujito took a breath as she looked towards him, before she smacked him across the cheek. Ow, said Naruto as he rubbed his cheek. What was that for? Never give up, you idiot, she said. Though maybe if they can convince you not to fight back, maybe I can snap you out of your suicidal tendency plans. You hear me, true self of Naruto. Snap him out of that idiotic plan. She cuffed her hand in front of his chest as she yelled. Yujito was able to get some alone time with B. Listen, B, maybe we should take a quick stop in the hidden spring village. Naruto could get some rest. You saw how he pushed himself. It was like he was a machine. He's gonna burn himself out. B nodded as he headed towards the captain of the ship, Motoi. Yo, Motoi, I was planning, since we done here quicker than we thought, how about a rest at the hot springs? It will be my first time in years since I've been in one. I'm all in, said Motoi, as they changed direction of the ship. 3 days later, Naruto sighed as the warm water released all the tension in his muscles. Next to him was Hikari, who had never been in hot water like this before as a snake, was relaxing. Yami had headed off with Yujito. Meanwhile, B and Motoi was leaning up against the rocks of the hot water spring. They were near to the other section where the cutoff was between the dividing female section and the male section. Well, it seems like they just want to listen and hear what was going on over there. Slowly, as Naruto closed his eyes, as he could feel everything around him, Motoi and B watched as Naruto started to change. As Naruto heard the jingling, the moving of kunais, as they slightly clanged against each other, the careful steps of shinobis. Natural chakra flew through Naruto's body as his whisker marks disappeared. His eyes turned a darker, blue color, slits in the center of them. As he slowly got out of the water, not even leaving a ripple, as he entered his siege mode. He hissed as snakes emerged on the ground. As they wrapped around his body, his clothing came on him. As he brought his finger up in a silent shh to both B and Motoi, as he then hopped on the roof, a smell of ramen, powdered cheap ramen came to his nose, followed by disinfectant, grass and lube. But all of it was wrapped under snakes, but one in particular, one that he recognized from the cave, a man that wasn't there for a long time. Orochimaru, the smell of Orochimaru. As he released the weights that were on him, they crashed through the buildings, showing how heavy they were, as people screamed in fear as they broke down. As Turner, the tracker of the Land of Iron, made his way, moving under siege mode. Meanwhile, Sasuke turned his side towards the village in front of them, as he saw Teiwaya was cleaning her flute with a strange, jelly substance to make it sound better. Samara had prepared camp, as she was boiling water, so that she could get her powder ramen. Karen, on the other hand, picked up a chakra signature. She gripped her head. "Someone is coming," she said. "This chakra, it's so dark and wrathful." The moment she finished her sentence, Sasuke pulled his blade, as he had to block a blade that clashed against his. Sasuke felt his foot sliding back, but the moment he blinked, a feet crashed into his chest as he was sent sailing like a bullet. He slammed into the wall with a loud thud. "Ah, I see 4 little piglets. From the sound they have come. One's a dead man walking, other 3. Do I know? Let us see if I can kill them, or if they can be killed by me." Teiwaya brought her flute, but he flashed in front of her. A fist slammed right in her face. Her flute snapped in half as she was sent sailing, her head dizzy as she crashed right in a tree behind her. "Why are you attacking us?" said Samara, as she looked at the man with the kanji for sage on his back. "You don't look like a ninja from Kumo," said Sasuke as he got back to his feet. "Are you the tracker from Land of Iron?" "Samara, dodge," said Karen. Samara substituted herself with a clone, as the clone was impaled from snakes from below. "Since our ninjas are the eyes of the party," said Tarn as he looked towards Karen. But Sasuke shot forward, as blades clashed against blades once again. But the strength was too much for him as he entered stage 2 of his curse mark, removing his shirt, as a black wind came crashing down, trying to skewer Naruto, but he moved already. As Sasuke held up his hand, "Shidori Nakshi," he said, as a blade of lightning shot forward. As Naruto raised his blade, as the lightning blade clashed against it. "Good to know you're a lightning type like me. Makes it easier to defeat you." Karen's eyes widened when she noticed that the lightning was being absorbed into the man's blade like a lightning rod. Samara flashed behind the man, her ninjato charged with wind chakra. Snakes emerged on the man's back. As the blade clashed against them, she was thrown back. She charged forward though, one hand her blade, the other hand. There was a swirling Rasengan as Tarna threw his blade to the side, or another Tarna caught it. As Samara Rasengan ripped through the man, Sasuke moved forward as well. Samara had to dissipate her Rasengan and move before she got slashed by his blade. As Karen was checking on Teiwaya, the girl was out in a dizzy state, as she was injected by a powerful toxin. But when? "Don't let him touch you! He's using poisons!" But a hand covered Karen's mouth. "Easy," said a voice behind her, as Karen started to lose consciousness as she collapsed in his arms. "Never lose sight of your enemy," said Tarna. "Let me show you how this is done," as he held out his hand. A Rasengan formed in his palm. Samara froze. Brother, is that you?" As her body started to change, Sasuke jumped away from her, as he knew what was happening. The second stage of her curse mark. As chains started to sprout from her body, they wrapped around her, as they twisted and twirled, a strange fluid dropping off of them. The pupil in her eyes turned small, as Sasuke moved away, knowing that when she went berserk, it wasn't anything good. But she said, "Brother, does that mean that man was her brother? Wait, that mean he was Naruto? So was he stronger than him?" Sasuke said in anger. Kurna flashed behind Sasuke, wishing to finally avenge Charu after all these years. But these twisted chains that looked like they were created from blood shot towards him as a Rasengan slammed into it, Ashidori formed on his other hand as he slammed it into the chains, but they kept on coming. As he jumped back, he used his blade to slice through the flesh chains that tried to pierce him through the stomach. Big brother, the mass of wriggling chains was calling out his name. What had Orochimaru turned the girl into? Damn, that's sick, said Naruto. Chakra chains burst from Naruto's back as they slammed into the flesh chains as they started to clash against each other. I'll make you trust me, big brother, she said. The girl seemed to have lost it. This was messing with her mind. As she kept on moving forward, the wriggling mass of chains and flesh coming towards Tarna, who used his chains to block them. He flashed through hand signs. Triple. Rashomon Gate, he says, he slammed his hand down. 3 gates came smashing down, forcing her back. As Naruto looked towards the 2 girls that were unconscious, he could use one of them to track down Orochimaru. He then heard an explosion as one of the gates were broken down. Already this soon? Was she already that strong, he wondered to himself. There was another boom. He really didn't have time to waste with this. As he made his way towards the 2 girls, he didn't know which one of them had the proper information, so he decided to take them both as he placed them on his shoulder. Then another explosion went off as Samara stepped forward. Her eyes snapped towards him. Well, what could be seen as her eyes? She needed to make her brother trust her, but why was he carrying both Teiwaya and Karen? Was he taking them away? Did he want them to become his sister? No, those 2 had told her that he wanted to do dirty things to her brother, and that wasn't good. They wanted to take him away from her. She screamed, a monstrous scream. He's mine, not yours, she screamed out. Her chain started to spin as a black Rasengan formed in front of them and was pushed forward. Her mind was definitely unstable. As the Rasengan ripped the entire ground apart, Turner created a clone who grabbed the 2 girls and shot it off. As he leaped away, he moved back as the Rasengan had to limit the chains, couldn't go so far, as it exploded once it stopped. As Turner stood there as his cloak was blown back and his hair was blown back as well. As he looked down towards the girl, she was thrashing around, moving like a demon from hell. Orochimaru did wonders on her. He tilted his head as a lightning spear passed him. As Naruto glanced towards Sasuke was behind him, he vanished. Sasuke looked around. Where the hell did he go? Suddenly, chains wrapped around him as he was pulled from the air. A flying bird is easy prey. As he was slammed viciously into the ground, Sasuke cursed. Big brother, said a voice. As Turner turned to see the monster rushing towards him, as he turned to face it until something slammed into it and threw it as he crashed over in the trees. As B landed, as he turned towards Naruto, bro's alright. Saw you coming with 2 ladies, fast as a flash. The Nibe is checking with Motoi. So I came here, said B, as he looked towards the thing that was getting back up. As B has never seen something like that before, it was a wriggling mass of flesh and chains. The chains and flesh shot forward. B pulled out all of his blades as he started to spin them, as he increased the density with electric chakra, as he shot forward like a buzzsaw. Meanwhile, as Naruto turned, as both him and Sasuke's eyes met, Sasuke smirked when his genjutsu worked as he stepped forward. He was finally going to prove once and for all that he was stronger, as he moved forward towards Naruto with his blade. Meanwhile, with Kakashi's team, the village hot spring came into view, as they could hear chaos happening. As they made their way, Kakashi-sensei said Sakura, should we intervene? Yakumo would have said something as well until she saw something blur past them, with such speed that she couldn't even see or recognize who that was. What the hell was that, said Yakumo. Something bad. Really bad, Yakumo-chan. Let's just hurry up, said Kakashi. He really hoped that wasn't who he thought it was. After all, how many yellow flashes were they? Just what the hell is he doing here? There is no way that he hasn't sensed us, unless his mind is busy with something else, Kakashi thought. As they made their way, Yakumo noticed there were snakes, with headband protectors making their way towards the fighting scene. Kakashi-sensei, said Yakumo, as she tried to get his attention, but he was not focused on her. As he raised his headband, as he focused on the battlefield, he was trying to get there before it was too late. Yakumo-chan, watch out, Sakura screeched. Yakumo had to jump out of the way as a man was moving past her. He did not even stop. If she hadn't moved, he would have slammed right into her. He was dressed in normal clothing. It was a disguise, however. He had orange hair with piercings over his face. His long orange hair was blown in the wind. The man then came to a stop as he turned to face them. You will not go anywhere, he said. As he moved towards Sakura, Sakura slammed her face into the ground. He had to jump back as she obliterated the ground. Yakumo, picked herself up. Sakura, let's stop him. As Naruto came from her back wielding a katana. It was an illusion. Well, her illusions were pretty real after all. The man had to move when he noticed, as the thing sliced right through the ground. Interesting, he said. As he moved towards the brown-haired girl, Yakumo saw him coming as Naruto covered her with his body. That turned into an armor. The man's fist connected with it. It was definitely real. This was not a genjutsu. Sakura appeared beside the man and she slammed her fist right into his face. He was sent sailing like a bullet as he crashed through several trees. To Sakura's shock, the man picked himself back up and snapped his body back into the right position, like it was nothing. What the hell's going on? Said Sakura. He shouldn't be able to walk after that. As Yakumo made the armor transform back in Naruto, this time he no longer had a sword, he had a cannon. Then we'll have to pulverize him. As Yakumo fired the cannon, as the cannonballs became real as they ripped apart the earth, flying towards the man. The man wasn't phased at all though as he dodged and deflected them with a kunai like they were nothing. Sakura flashed forward in front of him. The man avoided her punch with pretty much ease as he raised his hand and placed it right on her face. Sakura's eyes went wide before a snake tried to skewer the man's hand completely off, forcing him to jump back. Sakura was confused as she looked towards the snake. Tabuko, the head of Scale Division, is at your service. As he took a puff of his cigarette before releasing smoke from his mouth. And before you start wondering, I ain't alone. The human Pat looked around as he saw many snakes emerge from the canopy. Sakura and Yakumo were happy. Another snake that would talk. That mean Yoru couldn't be that far away then. Meanwhile, with Saki. Well done, Saki. Your enemy lie dead at your feet once more. The voice of Tree said to her. The girl known as Saki looked down towards the corpse of her so-called brother. The boy had cared for her since she was 2 years old, and he trained with her ever since, just like her mother. Then Danzo-sama giving her a gift. She was just a small kid, but when she drank it, she grew. She grew, and her chakra increased tenfold. She became the more perfect weapon for Konoha. She was a perfect weapon who had no need for a mother, so Danzo-sama ordered her to kill her root trainer, which she did, without hesitation. And there was no need for a brother either, so she killed her brother. She was the perfect weapon. She discarded of a worthless tool, and that was that. I lived to serve in the shadows, she said. It was either fall by her brother's hands, or kill him herself, and she chose to take his life. Her wounds healed within seconds. Another perk of being the perfect tool. Yet you will be killed by one more worthy than you. The voice in her head snarled. It was always angry at her, spitting curse words, always screaming at her, reaching at her, for no reason. She couldn't stop, or ignore the voice, and she couldn't speak about it either because it would be a complaint. Perfect weapons had no complaint. She lived with the voice and the voice never stopped to talk. I am Danzo-sama's tool. You are a worthless minor pawn of idiocy and dementia. To be mindless is to be blessed, said Saki. Stupid child, to be mindless is to be dead. You're no more than a lump of worthless rocks. A weapon do not need any thoughts, said Saki. You need clean underwear though. Saki's face remained emotionless, but her eyes slightly twitched at that comment. The demon was always saying some things that threw her off sometimes. Yes, she did need clean underwear, but she did not need thoughts. Saki, the voice of Tree called out to her. As she turned her head, you will now begin your first active mission. For Konoha, you are to head to the hidden stand and keep hold of the Kazekage actions. You will be given passports and adequate advance. You will leave in 2 hours. If the Kazekage will act against Konoha in any way, or if you are given a signal, you should execute him. She simply nodded. She was a perfect weapon, she understood perfectly. As she walked past the corpse of her brother, making her way to her root cell, where she saw the boy sighing his as he was drawing in a book. As she stopped in front of his door by habit. As Sai lifted his head up after seeing the shadow. I have my first mission in 2 hours, she said blankly. There was no emotion in her tone. Sai said nothing because he was not inserting the phrase. The girl was literally speaking to the wall or the ear or something else. Sai-san, she then called. I have my first mission in 2 hours. She repeated herself. Sai wondered what she wanted to tell him. What she actually wanted to say. She seemed unable to say it. Why are you saying that sentence, Saki? As he didn't want to think that she was already turning mad. Brother wished me luck every time I went for training. He said it is common for one to do that to a colleague. Sai nodded to himself. We are not colleagues, Saki. We are tools, said Sai. As he returned back to his drawing, she looked down towards her stomach. It felt strange. Maybe she was poisoned. You lost your brother, the voice in her head said. But you don't know how to act on it. This feeling that you're currently feeling. Regrets. Despair. No, I do not feel any emotion. I'm the perfect weapon of Konoha, she said. Nobody feels nothing. They can be kept away, kept under tight lock and key, but eventually they will come pouring out. Even the mightiest lion cried to his mom. Speaking of mom, would you like to see yours? I killed her, she's dead. She's worthless and I had to discard of her. My dear girl, I'm speaking about your real mother. The memories from my yin chakra are fuzzy, but I know. You were kidnapped from your real mother. Your father tried to fight it off, but he was slammed hard into a wall by something. You're lying, said Saki as she clenched her stomach. Her stomach was feeling strange now, even more than before. She had to get herself ready. She was gonna be a Sankunoichi on her mission. She had to be focused. Meanwhile, with Hidan and Kakazu, God damn it, Hidan yelled. How long is this gonna take? We had the Nebe taken from us and returned to Kumo. My informant told me that they leave once more to train somewhere uncharted. But once they do come back, they will have to pass through this land where we shall take the two-tailed Jinjulke. Damn it, said Hidan. There's not even anyone around here for them to be sacrificed, Lord Jashin. Well, said Hidan. Kakazu brought his arm up to blot the sight. As Kakazu's arm had turned a grayish color, his murderous gaze landed on Hidan. As Hidan smirked, Kakazu's hand extended and grabbed his head and started to repeatedly beat it into the ground over and over again. Meanwhile, with Naruto, he was easily snapped out of the Genjutsu. Before he could do anything, someone flashed in front of him and knocked away Sasuke. Don't worry, mister. Yellow Flash will help you against Orochimaru spawn. As Naruto didn't know whether to be happy or angry. The man was giving his back to him. He had no idea that it was him. Because of him undergoing sage mode, the man didn't know. Sasuke, on the other hand, watched as the man vanished. He looked around as he could not see anything with his Sharingan until something smashed into his back. The pain was unending as it ground into him. He was slammed into the ground, his wings being torn as the Rasengan had drive into him. Sasuke spat up a whole glob of blood. As he lay there with his mouth leaking, he could not die here. He had to kill Itachi first. He couldn't die here. As a three-pronged kunai came down towards his neck, Minato's hand was stopped by the human path, who was emitting smoke from his body as he came over. Half of his clothes was charred. Itachi wanted to kill him in person. Minato nodded, as he then turned his head towards the man who was getting back to his feet. I am Turn of the Snakes, Turna whispered. Thank you for saving me, the best tracker of Land of Iron. What a coincidence, said Minato. You heard him, Nagato. Maybe he can help us find Katsumi-chan. As Naruto figured that B had took his battle somewhere else, or he got drawn somewhere else because he did not see B. The boy wasn't alone. He had companions, a red-haired one and a blue-haired one. I think one of them was named Samira. Minato's eyes shot open in happiness. They went that way, he says. He pointed in the opposite direction. The human path picked up Sasuke and moved off with him. As Minato stopped, thank you, he said. Wait, have I ever met you before, he asked. I don't think so, said Turna with a smile. I would remember someone as strong as you. Minato nodded as he left. Damn it. Why couldn't he have popped out at the beginning of the battle? Why did he have to come now? Naruto thought to himself. As he felt someone else coming. The person was moving rather fast. He knew exactly who it was. Kakashi landed right in front of Naruto. As he looked towards him, he looked like he was in a fight. Kakashi noticed a mantle for a sage. Kakashi's Sharingan was activated. He had trained it over the past couple of years. And he could see through the Genjutsu. Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi was cut off by a yell from Sakura as she dashed in a clearing, Yakumo on her back wounded, but still breathing. We were attacked by a strange shinobi. He seemed undying. We got help from talking snakes. One with a really stinky cigar. What? My cigar is not stinky. As a snake landed right in front of Turna. And is that the way to talk to your life savior, girl? Tabuko interrupted the girl's rant. We got the era under control, boss. Was it him? No, said Naruto. It was his lackey. Naruto cursed. While in sage mode, he could sense everyone around him. He could sense Kakashi coming towards him with Sakura and Yakumo. If he had gotten into a fight now, they would no doubt try to intervene for what happened in the past, and he might end up getting killed. Damn it. And yet to watch that man leave. Excuse me, Mr. said Kakashi. Are you perhaps I'm Tarna of the Snakes, tracker of the Land of Iron, said Tarna. If you wish, I can look at the girl's wounds. Sakura shook her head as she placed down Yakumo. I'm also a medic, she said. It's fine. It's just that snake covered the entire area in smoke, so it was really hard to see, and defend herself. I told you to leave, girl, said Dabako. What is so hard about that? Leave. But you know what they did? They yelled. They will never retreat because they were Kunoichi from Konoha. So he attacked the most yelling out of the two. Kakashi lowered his headband. No need to keep on wasting chakra, as that man wasn't around here. It could have been a trick of a lighter or something. It doesn't matter, said Tarna. If everyone is fine, call them back. Tabako nodded as he pulled his cigar and threw it in the air. The thing was enveloped in a white flame that went straight up in the sky. Well, boss, I'm off too, he said as he poofed away. Tarna-san, said Kakashi. There's something I like to yes, Kakashi. It's me. As Kakashi's heart skipped a beat, even Sakura looked up towards the man. I am Tarna of the Snakes until we get somewhere more private, he said. Without the genjutsu, he looked like a complete different person. I'd like to thank you for saving us, Tarna-san, said Sakura, tears in her eyes as she looked towards him. It was really him. He was alive. She picked up Yakumo, who was now unconscious, and she brought her along, earlier with Yujito and Motoe. As Yujito was chilling in the water, the last time she was in the water like this, Jiraiya had came and spoiled everything. That was when Konoha found out about Naruto back then. As she was in there with Yami, when suddenly the door burst open, as Naruto came in with two girls on his shoulders. Her eyes widened. Naruto, she said, as her face started to get red, but he wasn't even looking at her. Yami, he said, I'm a shadow clone, these two are from the sound. The real me is fighting off a group of sound ninjas. Samara is there, and so is the bastard. These two were knocked out by my gloves, so it will take a while for them to wake up. Keep them in check. Maybe have B come along. With that he poofed away, leaving the girls behind before Yujito would get mad at him. Well, I'll go do what he says. Keep an eye on them, would you? As she slicked her and went to the man's side. Yujito got out as she got dressed. She disarmed both of the girls as she yelled at Moto and gave her a hand, as she brought them towards the in-room. Now the both of them stood there, looking at their two captives, as they heard explosions off in the distance. B's with him. He's gonna be fine, said Motoe, as she was tapping her nail on the table. I hope so. I really hope so, she said. Some time passed before another Kunoichi came in, with pink hair carrying, and knocked her girl on her back. We've been sent here by Tarna-san, or the two members of the tracker of his team. He's fine, he doesn't need any help. Yujito sighed in relief. As Sakura turned towards the two, knocked out some ninjas. If they're here, maybe Katsumi-chan is here as well. Meanwhile, with B. B had to give it to the monster he was fighting. First off, it was creepy as hell. Second, it just wouldn't die. B had lured it 3 times. He went as far as to use the dance of his swords. Then he started to punch it and kick it, but the thing just got back up. He hadn't transformed to the full ATL yet, but still, this should be enough. But the thing was picking itself back up with ease. The rippling mass of flesh and blood and chains were still shooting everywhere, and her flesh chains sapped his strength every time they touched him. Maybe it was that reason that he found himself unable to pump out Biju chakra. Stop keeping me away from my brother, she yelled, as the monster moved once more. B decided it was time to end this, but before he could, something flashed all over the area. The thing was fast. B couldn't even see what the hell it was. The next moment, chains were suppressed, as a lot of chakra seals were placed over the monster and the groin as well, before a sound of Kai could be heard, as everything glowed brightly. The next moment, the blue-haired girl had reformed. She collapsed as she was caught by a blonde-haired man who turned his sights towards the ATL octopus. We cannot catch him now. We need the others before going after him, the voice of the human pack said. Minato nodded, not to mention he was with his daughter, who was unclothed and unconscious. He couldn't put her in any risk. With that, they flashed out of there in a Hiroshin. Just as they did truthfully leave, Kakashi and Tarna finally arrived. Damn it. They must have followed the noise, said Tarna, as B raised her eyebrow towards Tarna and Kakashi. Kakashi Hatake, I'm to escort the two ninjas assigned to the Land of Iron tracker towards Kumo, but it seems we met up halfway. He looked around. Must have been one hell of a fight. Yeah, saw the bastard too. "You're right, bro," said B, as he looked towards Tana, who slowly nodded. With that, they started to make their way. As he arrived towards the inn, as Yujito watched as Tana started to heal his shoulder. When she had transformed, one of those chains had stabbed him. "I can help with that," said Soccer. "I'm fine." "I know, but I've been trained under..." "I'm fine," he said. "Don't worry, it's okay." As he healed the wound on his shoulder, he hadn't even noticed. As Soccer looked towards him, the way Kakashi spoke to him, could it really be? But he died a long time ago. She wanted to make sure it was confirmed. She wanted to know if it was really him. After his death, it came out that he was fully the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, and the beast was removed from him, and that was lethal. So she didn't understand how was he alive. And now he was tracking it down. Was he out for revenge? Was he there to take by the Kyuubi? She had so much questions, but he didn't seem like he was gonna answer any of them. He turned his gaze towards the two, Son Kunoichi's, and Yakumo was unconscious as well. "Well then, how about you present yourself?" said Tarn as he looked towards Sakura. "Oh, I'm Sakura Haruno, made it name, and I've been sent here by the fifth Hokage to assist the Iron Land Tracker. It's you, right?" Tarna nodded, slowly, before whispering back. "I am Tarn of the Snakes," he said. Yujito had twitched at that, but she said nothing. "The best tracker of the Land of Iron, sent personally by Mifune-sama, to find and bring the Kyuubi Jinchuriki to Konoha." She realized something. It was indeed Naruto. He was Tarn as well. So that meant, "You're the world-renowned writer," she said. "You're famous and strong." It sounded a bit childish, but it made him chuckle. "No, there's always someone stronger than you. But this is how life works. I hope to correct that in time though. However, let's have a chat with the awakened miss." Yujito walked over and picked up Karen that was faking to be asleep. As she dropped her, the girl rolled right towards Turna, stopping right at his feet. She knew exactly what was going on. Damn it, she wondered where Sasuke or Samara was. They were supposed to capture this man and now they were captured. Well, she was captured. "Sorry, I can't have you going back to your chief, I'm afraid," Turna whispered. Though, he said, as he went straight down towards her ear, his breath catching her ear, making her shiver. "If you tell me what I want to know, I will give you a personal treat. Something really special." Yujito blinked in shock. Did Naruto just say that? As he undid the ball gag from her mouth. As Karen looked up at him, she was surrounded in his room. She had no chance of escaping and she knew that. Where's Orochimaru's base? Karen glanced towards his sleeping tailway. Before she whispered back, "Will I be protected if I help you?" she asked. Karna nodded. "Not only that, but I'll personally escort you to your bed." B and Kakashi repressed their chuckles as they saw Karen turning red, as Motoi decided to try that out. The next time he was out on a date, as all the girl faces turned red in the room. Well, it seemed to work well for him, Motoi thought to himself. Yeah, he would definitely try that. Karen couldn't understand this chakra was so warm, green. It seems vast. It was just overwhelming, comforting. Nothing like Orochimaru's vile, corrupted chakra. It wasn't like before, when she felt the humongous chakra coming towards them, but now it was different. So calming, and it made her wanted to... "Only if you promise me something," she said. What's that?" "I want you to kill Kabuto, Orochimaru's right-hand man." As Tarna nodded, well, it was time to close a loose end after all. Time skip, a week and a half later. Hey, Kakasu. He had tried to kill him for the 100th time now. Well, that got bored really fast. "What is it?" "I wonder something. What if they decide to go back by boat and not, well, feet?" "And why would they do that? It would take more time to prepare a boat than go by foot," said Kakasu. "Yeah, but what if they have a boat, leased for them, that could bring them straight towards the line of light in Port City?" Kakasu paused at that, as he scratched the back of his head. "You know, I think you're right." "Wait, what?" said Hidan. He was just bringing up small talk. "But, so you're telling me that we've been out here for absolutely no reason?" As Hidan started to laugh, as he grabbed his sight. "Die," he said as he jumped towards Kakazu. Time skip. Within Kumo, Mabi and Shoko was at the gates, as they were waiting for the Konoha ninjas to come. Darui and Amaru were called there to escort a prisoner. Since the destruction of her home, Amaru, she was able to convince C to teach her. Every now and then she looked towards Darui. He was the one that saved her life after all. He seemed so calm and collected, but he wasn't really paying her attention. They then saw the group coming. First was Naruto, as he was holding by the waist a red-haired woman with glasses. who seemed to be lost in love, as she was blushing. Behind them was Yujito, who was carrying a dark cloud of anger. She wasn't alone though. The two Konoha Kunoichis were fuming as well. Teiwaya was being carried on B's shoulders, like a bag of potato. After a week and a half, she finally stopped cursing. Well, it was no point, because she was being ignored. As Maui stepped forward, "It is a pleasure to meet Konoha representative for the search of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki," she said. She raised her hand as Kakashi took it and shook it. "You have already spoken to Tarna-san," she said. Kakashi nodded. "Yes, but not in full detail. He will explain more in private." As Tarna then picked up Karen, and the girls behind him seemed to fume even more. But he brought her towards Kumo Institutional Rehabilitation Center as he dropped her off in one of the chakra suppressing cells. As the girl started to whine about being treated unfairly, as he simply shut the door and made his way off, while the others were brought towards the Raikage's tower. As Tarna smiled to himself, bridal style, carrying to your bed, done. He did promise her to carry to her bed bridal style. Well, that would be her home now. Teiwaya was also placed away in one of the prisons. He was almost hugged by Uncle from behind, almost because of snakes. He set her to get back. "No fear," Uncle said. "You carry her in bridal style, and you don't let me hug you." As Tarna turned towards the woman, he then turned toward the snakes as he hissed towards them. He then held out his hand as Uncle rushed forward and pulled him in a tight choking hug. "So, who's the girl? Why is she here?" As Naruto told her what happened. "Oh, well, I'm still offended that you ran away to go to that stupid waterfall. And we didn't get time to catch up," said Uncle. "I'm offended." "Don't talk to me," she said, as she pouted in mock hurt. Alright then. "To think I brought you a gift," said Tarna as he started to walk away. "Huh? A gift?" Her eyes sparkled. "What is it?" "What is it?" she asked. "A dango. Special from the hot spring village. They say eating one is like being in heaven." Before her mouth could drool. "Wait, when did you go there?" she asked. As Naruto laughed nervously before he placed the dango box down and ran. Uncle chuckled. "I know where you live," she shouted. Oh yeah, Naruto thought to himself, but he just kept on running. Meanwhile, Raikage's office. "And that's why I think we should warn the Sand Bro," said B, as he finished recalling that man, the words of that man, what he had said, and not to mention who was with him. As he turned towards the Konoha ninjas. "So, Danzo sent a token force," Raikage said. Kakashi couldn't really counter that argument. Hokage-sama decided to send out his best tracker teams in there entirely, so he didn't think that it would be much of a problem. Good way of putting it, Sakura thought. Well, they weren't really the best tracker, but the Hokage said that he already had his best tracker out, trying to find the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, so he sent them along. On the other hand, Yakumo was shocked. After all, the Raikage had placed a private seal and told him that Naruto was Tarna, as she wondered if she was dreaming or something. They were told to keep that secret, after all no one should know. "I see. So he thought the same thing as me. We can't leave it all on his shoulders," said the Raikage. Suddenly, Naruto appeared in the center of the room, pouting. "You know I went head to head against the Totsunin, father," said Naruto. "I'm strong. Trust me. I'm the snake sage after all." Kakashi blinked. "You fought Jirai-sama?" Kakashi noticed that Naruto had gotten stronger. He thought that Naruto had gotten stronger as him, but on the lines of a legendary Sanin? Yeah, and he made a mess while I was holding back. Naruto felt his snakes on him as they tensed. As he turned to see Yakumo coming towards him, he calmed his snakes not to bite her, as she crashed into his chest as she was crying. As Naruto patted her on the head, but the girl would not calm down, she kept on crying. "Naruto-kun," said Yakumo, "I never got the chance to tell you this, and I regret it till this day. So I'm going to tell you now," she shouted. But before she could say anything, the door was swiftly opened as a woman stepped in. Dark black hair that reached towards her shoulder. She had the forehead protector of the Netsuko village. She had a scroll in hand as she yelled, "Get your hands off my husband, right now," she said. And with that, Naruto released a long sigh. Just when the hell was he gonna get peace, huh? But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want the next person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the brand new episode over on Anime King and Anime King 3. Yes guys, I indeed have 3 channels if you're new, which I post what you find every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Animaking family, and thank you for all of your help and your support. And yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys very soon. Peace out.